Many New Yorkers trying to rebuild from Hurricane Sandy have found themselves in need of a lawyer. I sat down with Dibble, director of the New York Legal Assistance Group's Storm Response Unit, to talk about the requests for help they've gotten and the services being offered. So thanks so much for being with us today. In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, you established a storm response unit. Now, I don't think most people would think there should be legal services in the wake of a storm. Why did you establish a storm response unit?
Well, the New York Legal Assistance Group provides civil legal services to people throughout, low-income people throughout New York City. And whenever there's a crisis or a disaster, we jump right in and we know we have to serve people. And we knew that there were going to be legal needs because we've gone through similar situations, some similar situations here in New York, and we know from our colleagues who've worked in other areas that in fact legal needs arise immediately after a disaster like this. And so NYLAG jumped right in and immediately was providing services through a phone hotline, through online services. We have a mobile legal help center, which is a van that can literally drive to where lawyers are needed, and they were out in impacted areas immediately within days after the storm with 3, 4 lawyers, multiple lawyers, providing legal services to people. And people have been contacting us and continue to contact us to this day. There's still a tremendous need.
So interesting, because I think most people, as we were saying, think of, you know, in the wake of a storm, you need food, you need shelter, you need water. You need a lawyer? Maybe people aren't realizing that. Yeah. What kind of legal problems did you see crop up right away that needed your assistance? In
the immediate aftermath, people needed good, solid information about what benefits were available to them. What is FEMA? What is the Small Business Administration? And what is an SBA loan? How do I access whatever insurance benefits I'm entitled to? People needed information. There was a lot of bad information that was out there.
So first you acted as an information clearinghouse.
It's sort of a crisis, a sort of crisis management, I guess I would say.
But as far as legal specialties, when you talk about this mobile van of lawyers driving out to hard-hit areas, what sort of services were your lawyers offering?
There are many landlord-tenant issues right away. What happens? I'm a renter. Can my landlord keep me out of my apartment? I want to get in and see my things, or my things have been damaged. My apartment's been damaged. Who's responsible for cleaning it up? How can I make my landlord clean it up? We saw those issues immediately. We know that low-income New Yorkers had some of their situations, their vulnerable lives were impacted and their situations were made worse by the storm. They lost income. They couldn't get to work. They couldn't go to work. And so they needed to know how to access perhaps food stamps for the first time. People were really, people were in need, but we saw landlord-tenant issues, mortgage foreclosure issues made much worse, and then navigating the disaster relief services was also something that immediately came up and very quickly turned to problems and issues more than just a referral source. It very quickly became the need. Very quickly, the need was there for actual direct representation.
Would you say the bulk of the problems related to the storm have been on property, real estate in that area?
We have seen several types of legal needs, and we've seen a shift over the 3 months or so since the storm. There are still a lot of people who are having issues immediately and directly arising out of the storm with the federal benefits or state benefits, the FEMA and the SBA loans, the landlord-tenant. But we're also now seeing a tremendous number of issues with homeowners and people who have insurance who are having problems dealing with their homeowners insurance. And we are very quickly seeing people who are having problems with fraud, with contractors, some public adjusters who are simply taking advantage of them and preying on them in this time of vulnerability.
So the needs have shifted drastically from getting information out and sort of protecting people to now we're seeing people rebuild, and you're dealing with those kinds of issues. Is your mobile van still out there? How are you? How are people to access your services? I'm wondering if people who lost property or have damaged property even know there's free legal service available to them.
Well, we operate a hotline. We continue to operate our hotline every day. It's if I may, it's 212-584-3365.
We'll put it up later.
In addition, our Mobile Legal Help Center is traveling, continues to travel to impacted areas, whether that's Staten Island, Coney Island, out on Long Island as well. And in addition, we partner with local organizations. And so we will go to community-based organizations who are serving constituents in impacted areas, and we partner with them. So they will help identify people in need, and we send lawyers, teams of lawyers on site to provide services. So we really make every effort to go right to where the impacted people are. But if people can't get to us, then they can call us and we can do consultations and whatever we can do by phone.
And just finally, Anne, everyone is eligible for your services?
Anyone can get a consultation from us. Our additional services, what we would call our direct representation, we prioritize people who have the greatest legal needs and the least ability to pay.
Okay,
but there
low,
are no
middle income,
low and middle income,
lost everything.
but no strict guidelines, and we take everybody's full circumstances into account.
And you'll be out there until the need goes away?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
That number, once again, that Anne mentioned, 212-584-3365. You can also find out more about the group by going to their website, nylag.org/stormhelp.